The body was found at dawn, half hidden beneath the pedestrian bridge where the river narrowed and the fog liked to linger. Morning commuters passed without looking down. It was the maintenance worker who saw the shoe first, mud-caked, expensive, one lace trailing like a question no one wanted answered. By noon, the bridge was sealed, traffic rerouted, and the city's heartbeat shifted. The victim was identified within hours. Marianne Keller, 34, public defender, known for walking the river trail before work. No wallet. Phone missing. One blunt force injury. The medical examiner called it quick. The case was called tragic. The pressure to solve it was immediate. Detective Caleb Rowe arrived late, coffee untouched, jaw set. He'd worked homicides long enough to recognize the look of a story already being told before the evidence finished speaking. The river, the bridge, the missing phone, it all pointed somewhere convenient. And by day 3, the city had a suspect. Jonah Pike was 22, transient, arrested twice for petty theft, known to sleep near the trail. A witness placed him under the bridge the night Marion died. A shoe print, close enough, matched his boots. His alibi frayed under questioning. He'd panicked, he said. He'd run. He hadn't meant for anything to happen. The confession came after 14 hours. Caleb wasn't in the room when Jonah signed his name, hands shaking, eyes hollow. He read the transcript later and felt the familiar unease crawl up his spine. The details were there, but too neat, too rehearsed. Still, the case moved like a train with no brakes. The city exhaled. Within 6 weeks, Jonah Pike pleaded guilty. The DA held a press conference. The mayor spoke about safety. The bridge reopened. Flowers wilted. The file was stamped closed and shelved with a quiet finality that suggested justice had been served. Caleb kept the copy on his desk for another month. He couldn't explain it, just a sense that something had been edited out. Marion Keller's phone was never recovered. The river cams were down that night for maintenance. And the witness who placed Jonah at the bridge? A man named Victor Hale, who worked nights at a warehouse nearby, had changed his story twice before settling on the version that stuck. Caleb requested a follow-up interview. He was denied. The department moved on. So did Caleb eventually. 2 years passed. The city changed. New buildings rose along the river. The bridge got fresh paint. Caleb took a transfer to Cold Cases, the place where stories went to fade. He learned to live with the echo of unanswered questions. Until the email arrived at 11:47 p.m. Subject, I was there. No name. No attachment. Just a sentence and a phone number. Caleb stared at it until the office lights clicked off automatically. He dialed. A woman answered on the third ring, breath unsteady. I didn't know who else to call, she said. They said it was over. They said not to. Slow down, Caleb said. Tell me who you are. My name is Elena Morales. I was under the bridge the night Marianne Keller died. The room seemed to shrink. Elena was 28 now. Back then, she'd been living out of her car, working days at a diner, nights wherever she could park without being noticed. She'd been there, she said, watching the river, listening to the hum of traffic, when she saw a man and a woman arguing near the railing. It wasn't Jonah, she said quickly, as if afraid he might hear her through the line. I've seen Jonah since. In court. It wasn't him. Caleb felt the old unease sharpen into focus. Why didn't you come forward? They told me not to, Elena said. A man came to the diner the next day. He knew my name, where I slept. He said if I talked, I'd lose what little I had. Did you see his face? No, she said. But I heard his voice. Calm. Like this was routine. Caleb closed his eyes. Can you meet me? There was a pause long enough to count regrets. Yes, she said. But I need you to promise me something. What? If I tell you everything, Elena said, voice barely a whisper, you won't close the file again. They met in a quiet room the next morning. Elena's hands trembled as she spoke, words spilling out now that the dam had cracked. She described the argument, low urgent. The man was tall, she said. Clean shoes. Not homeless. Not frantic. He'd grabbed Marianne's phone and thrown it into the river when she tried to call for help. And then, Caleb asked. Elena swallowed. Then someone else stepped out of the shadows. Caleb leaned forward. Someone else. She nodded. A second man. He didn't shout. He didn't run. He said Marianne's name like he knew her. Caleb felt the room tilt. Elena reached into her bag and slid something across the table. A folded receipt, yellowed with age. "I kept this," she said. "I didn't know why. Just in case." Caleb unfolded it. It was from a parking garage 3 blocks from the bridge. Time-stamped the night of the murder. And written across the bottom, in pen, was a name. Victor Hale. Caleb's pulse thundered. Because Victor Hale wasn't just a witness. He was the reason the case had closed. And as Caleb stared at the name that should never have been there, he realized the truth had been hiding in plain sight, waiting for the one witness no one had bothered to find. But when he pulled Victor Hale's employment records that afternoon, what he discovered made his stomach drop. Victor Hale had never worked nights. He clocked out at 5 p.m. every weekday. No night shifts. No overtime. No reason to be anywhere near the river after dark. Yet his original statement placed him under the bridge at 9:40 p.m., precisely when Marianne Keller was killed. Caleb Rose sat in the records room long after midnight, fluorescent lights buzzing above him like insects. He pulled Victor's file again, slower this time. Clean background. No priors. Steady job. The kind of witness prosecutors loved because juries trusted him on sight. Which made the lie worse. Caleb reopened the case quietly. Too quietly, some would say. He didn't notify the DA. He didn't file a motion. He started where the truth usually hid. Bank records, phone logs, forgotten corners. Victor Hale's phone pinged a cell tower across town at the time he claimed to be under the bridge. Not a mile off. Not even close. Caleb requested a re-interview. Victor didn't show. By the next morning, his apartment was empty. No forwarding address. No answer at work. The witness had disappeared. Elena Morales was moved to a safe location that afternoon. She didn't like it, didn't trust it, but fear has a way of making decisions for you. Caleb watched as she packed a single bag, eyes darting to every sound outside. "You said there were 2 men," Caleb reminded her. "Tell me about the second one." Elena pressed her lips together. He wasn't angry. That's what scared me. He sounded disappointed. Like Marianne had broken a rule. Did he touch her? No. He stayed back. Let the other one do the shouting. Caleb wrote it down, pen digging hard into the paper. "Did you recognize him?" Elena hesitated. "Not then. But after the trial. I think I saw him on the news." Caleb looked up sharply. "Who?" She swallowed. "A press conference. About criminal justice reform." He was standing behind the DA. Just for a second. Caleb's hand went still. That night, he pulled every frame of footage from the courthouse, steps the day Jonah Pike pleaded guilty. He ran it frame by frame, eyes burning, patience thinning. There. A man in a dark suit. No badge. No introduction. Standing close enough to whisper. Caleb zoomed in. The face matched the description Elena had given. Thomas Reed. Senior investigator for the district attorney's office. Former cop. Reputation for closing cases fast and clean. Caleb felt a chill spread through his chest. Thomas Reed had been involved in the Keller case from the beginning. He'd been the one to discover Victor Hale as a witness. The one who'd pushed Jonah Pike's confession as airtight. The one who told Caleb 2 years earlier that the file was done. Caleb requested Reed's phone records. They were denied, so he found another way. Victor Hale's bank account lit up like a warning flare once Caleb knew where to look. A deposit $12,000 had landed 3 days after Marianne's death. Cash equivalent. No clear source. The trail led to a shell consulting firm, owned by Thomas Reed's brother-in-law. The truth was no longer subtle. Caleb drafted the memo to reopen the case. Before he could send it, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Detective Rowe, a voice said. Calm. Familiar. "I was wondering how long it would take you." Caleb stepped into the stairwell, heart hammering. "Where's Victor Hale?" A pause. Then a sigh. Victor was a necessary correction. "You paid him to lie." I protected the system, Reed replied. Your system. The one that collapses when people like Mary Ann Keller start digging too deep. Caleb's grip tightened. She was a public defender. She was a liability, Reed said. She knew about the informant pipeline, the coerced confessions. Jonah Pike wasn't the first. He was just the one who broke cleanly. Caleb's blood ran cold. You killed her. No, Reed said. I let it happen. The line went dead. Within the hour, Elena Morales vanished from protective custody. Her room was untouched. Window open. No signs of a struggle. Just a single note on the bed, written in a shaky hand. He knows you're close. Caleb stood there, the weight of the case crushing down on him. He'd reopened the file. He'd pulled at the thread. And now, the system was pushing back. Hard. Because the truth wasn't just about a wrong conviction. It was about how many others had been buried beneath closed cases, and how far someone would go to keep them buried. As sirens wailed somewhere in the distance, Caleb realized the danger had shifted. The killer wasn't hiding in the shadows anymore. He was standing in the light. And the closer Caleb got to exposing him, the more people started disappearing. Elena Morales was found 2 days later, alive, shaken, hiding in the back room of a closed laundromat on the edge of the city, where the lights flickered and the cameras hadn't worked in years. She'd broken away during a transfer, she said. Waited for a moment when the guard's phone buzzed and the door wasn't quite shut. They don't want to kill me, Elena told Caleb, voice raw. They want me quiet. Caleb believed her, because silence had always been the point. He moved fast after that, faster than the system could slow him. He leaked what he had to a reporter he trusted, someone who understood how to verify without warning the wrong people. He filed an emergency motion to vacate Jonah Pike's conviction, attaching the receipt, the bank records, the cell tower data, and Elena's sworn statement. The backlash was immediate. The DA's office called it reckless. Internal Affairs opened an inquiry into Caleb. His badge was suspended pending review. His access revoked. But the story was already out. Closed case reopened after new witness comes forward. Questions raised about coerced confessions. Public pressure does what evidence sometimes can't. Within 48 hours, a judge ordered a hearing. Thomas Reed arrived calm, composed, flanked by attorneys who spoke softly and smiled often. He denied everything. The deposits were consulting fees, he said. Victor Hale was mistaken. Elena Morales was unreliable. Then Elena took the stand. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't embellish. She told the truth the way people do when they're done being afraid, plain and unadorned. She described the argument, the second man, the voice, the way Mary Ann Keller's name sounded in his mouth. When asked if she could identify him, Elena looked across the room. That's him, she said, pointing at Thomas Reed. That's the man who let her die. The room shifted. Reed didn't move, but his eyes did. The turning point came from an unlikely place. Jonah Pike. From prison, Jonah had filed handwritten letters for years, pleas no one read. When the story broke, a public defender finally listened. Jonah agreed to a recorded interview. He described the interrogation, the exhaustion, the lies presented as facts, the moment he realized the only way out of the room was to say what they wanted. They told me they already had the right guy, Jonah said quietly. They said I was just helping them make it official. The they mattered. Phone logs placed Thomas Reed in the precinct the night of Jonah's confession, off the clock, unreported. Security footage showed Reed entering the interrogation wing twice. Reed had coached the confession. He hadn't needed to touch anyone. He'd built a machine that did the work for him. The judge ordered Jonah Pike's conviction vacated. The room erupted. Outside, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Caleb stood back, watching as a man who'd lost 2 years of his life stepped into the light, blinking, free. But the story wasn't finished. Thomas Reed was arrested that night. Charges followed: obstruction of justice, witness tampering, conspiracy. But not murder. Because the system resists naming itself as the weapon. Reed pleaded not guilty. In custody, he finally spoke to Caleb. "You think you won," Reed said through the glass, voice even. "But all you did was open one file." Caleb met his gaze. "One was enough." Reed smiled faintly. "You'll see." The trial ended with a conviction. Not for everything, but enough. Thomas Reed was sentenced to 15 years. Victor Hale was never found. The official story settled into place. A rogue investigator, an unfortunate death, a wrongful conviction corrected. The city exhaled again. Caleb didn't. Because 3 months later, another case crossed his desk. Different city, different bridge, same pattern. A closed file, a confession that came too easily. A witness who'd vanished. Caleb opened a file and felt the old chill return. The machine Reed had built didn't die with his arrest. It had been running long before him. And somewhere, right now, another case was being closed too quickly, another truth being buried for the sake of order. Caleb locked the file drawer and took a breath. Some cases don't stay closed. They wait. If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe, because the truth doesn't surface on its own.